link, please. Look at, there we go. Okay. All right. We are live, you guys. I am so excited. And she's already up here because I want you to see her right away. And I have an official introduction that I'm going to read because it's good. I am thrilled to welcome a true powerhouse to the show. Jennifer Heczel is a visionary leader in the podcasting world and the driving force behind Women in Podcasting, which is phenomenal, by the way. Oh my gosh. It's a vibrant community that celebrates creativity, connection, and the art of storytelling, which she is a queen at. As a podcaster, mentor, and community builder, she's not only paved the way for countless creators, but empowers them to find their voices, grow their influence, and build thriving communities. And there's more and more that I won't bore you with reading. She's just a phenomenal rock star. So, Jennifer, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
This is so amazing. So, hey, Zanime. Oh my gosh, I watched some of your videos and I'm so glad you're here. We're definitely going to talk later. I'm very excited. Zanime has done some amazing things and also has a YouTube channel. So very cool. So Jennifer, I met at PodFest. I feel like I start that sentence off a lot. But we got to meet in person and I'm so excited because she lives on the other side of the continent from me in Canada, and literally like diagonal across. And she is a phenomenal person. And when she did the Women in Podcasting group at PodFest, it was standing room only. Absolutely knocked it out of the park. Amazing. And so Jennifer, what do you have going on that's new and exciting?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, well, we just wrapped up the Women Podcasters Awards, and that was so much fun. And you were a winner.
I was a winner. And next year I'm going to be a sponsor, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, so that was our first year. We had 400 nominees and over 15,000 votes for all the nominees. I think it went really well for our first year. We
That's
weren't
a
sure,
lot of participation.
Yeah, there really was. There really was. And one of my goals was to not only have the awards and have a people's choice style of awards, but to really make it engaging and a community event that people could rally their listeners and really, help their audience to get to know them better and to, have more visibility. So everybody helped everybody. It was a really collective, collaborative opportunity, and we really had a good time.
Yeah, it was amazing. He is so sweet. Yeah, it was so good. And I just love it. And the way that you all did it, and you had different people presenting, and it was really cool. And your sister, who I love, was there. And that was really awesome.
She says hi.
Oh, that's awesome. Tell her I say hi. Yeah, that's awesome. So what gave you the idea to do an awards show?
Well, I just noticed a lot of the women in podcasting need more help with growing their show and monetizing their show. And this is just one step towards helping people to really open up some of the, ideas for generating more interest and growth in their show, because I also provided a lot of tools to help people to do that visibility. So I, shared images and I gave them content and all kinds of tools to engage their audience as well as with each other. And there's been so many collaborations between the podcasters. I just love it. I love seeing all the connections and the community.
I want to share one of your websites because you have a few in the chat. Which would be the best to share for creators? If there's a creator that wants to join, because you've got so much available for people, and some of it is paid, but a lot of it is free, and also the stuff that's paid is so worth it. You can't even utilize everything because there's so much. So you actually get to pick and choose. It's not like other things where people are like, give me all this money and I'll give you a couple little things. No. It's a website. It's full. I don't even know how it's a lot. So which is the best thing to share? I'm sorry.
We have there's two main tracks to connect with me. So one of them is womenpodcasters.com. So that's women podcasters plural. So womenpodcasters.com.
Okay.
And then inspiringshow.com. And that's the podcast and the club that Paul and I have together, inspiringshow.com. And that's for Inspiring Innovators Club.
Very cool.
And show, Inspiring Innovator Show. So if you go to inspiringshow.com/gifts or womenpodcasters.com/gifts, I have gifts for your audience. There's no cost. They can come and get tools and all kinds of templates and different things from me that I share for free.
That is so cool. Yeah, and it's really good because you teach people how to do their elevator pitch and how to introduce themselves and how to be on a call, like for the award show or what, you explain to them how to do it, which I think is so important. So it's really good. And every time I put one thing, it goes 4 times because we're live streaming to 4 different places. And
Oh,
so
cool.
that's why if you're wondering if you're out there, that's what happens. Yeah, it's incredible. So highly, highly recommend. But also Jennifer is a friend, which is why I wanted to have her on. And yeah, actually really truly inspiring. I don't know, it's really exciting because I
Our
have to tell you, Jen, I'm really tired of all the people who are like, "I will help you 10x or 6 figures." Like those 2 words are just hot buttons for me, and you don't do anything like that. You just genuinely just help people grow.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, my background is I worked for the government for a couple years in a business resource center. I've worked in universities and colleges as an instructor, instructing in entrepreneurial programs. And so I have a real community grassroots foundation in helping, really, really helping people with the resources that they need. And so I've carried that into my online business. And so our whole family loves you, Jen. I mean, my sister, my husband was on your show last week and you heard his story of overcoming and going from surviving to thriving. And so that whole story sort of is the beginning of my story as well, because, for many years, I worked full time and then I did my business on the side. And, I just wanted to break free so badly. It just seemed like success was just around the corner. I wanted to turn my, side gig into my full-time business for so many years. And it just always seemed out of grasp. And then something happened in 2012 that changed everything for me. And I'd love to share that with you and
Yeah.
your audience. And so, I was at work one day, and that was in 2010. So it was a couple years before that, where I had the worst phone call anyone would want to receive, and that was my husband's boss. And so if any of you heard the story, you know what happened. And I had to rush to the hospital. And the whole way to the hospital, I thought to myself, I'm not going to lose my best friend today, and it was a really hard time. So I got there. I didn't even recognize him. His whole chest was caved in. He had been crushed by 12,000 pounds of wood, if you saw his story from last week. And, thankfully he survived. But it was a long, long recovery. But, even though that blew up our lives, it kind of also sparked something within me to say, I don't want to live in a way that doesn't serve me or the world anymore. And that really started my growth journey and helped me to change everything. I shifted my mindset. I shifted really everything in our life, changed. Paul had to relearn everything, from walking, talking, everything. And I went through that process too. And, one of the things that really, really impacted me was I noticed that all the communities that my husband was involved in before his accident now came around and rallied around him. He talked about, the football community came around and gave him encouragement and things like that. He had been a volunteer football coach and announcer in the community. And that really inspired me. And I thought, I'm missing that in the entrepreneur world, And so I invited some people to lunch one day. I said, hey, I just put it out on my socials. I wasn't very organized with it back then. And I said, hey, do you want to come and join me for lunch one day? Well, to my surprise, 50 business owners showed up.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so, yeah, 50 business owners. So this little room I had for lunch had just, was overflowing. And that one meeting turned into a group, and the group turned into a network. And I had different meetings happening in different cities all around my region. And so I ended up with a dozen chapters, and it was really a thriving network, a business network that I had for over 6 years. I did over 600 events during that time. So I learned a lot. And, that really helped me to learn how to grow a community around your message. And that's really vital for any entrepreneur, speaker, coach, author, podcaster. It's really important to learn how to grow a community around your message. And so that's what I help people with now.
Yeah, and you had one of the biggest groups, didn't you? You s with you had a really huge group.
Well, so I was really involved with the events through that network that I had before Women Podcasters. I was really involved in the Vancouver, BC, Canada. That's where I am, that you mentioned. And so I was really involved in the event community then. So I have a group of 20,000 in Vancouver events. And then I also have a 10,000 group of women podcasters on Facebook and LinkedIn. And then I also have the largest paid women's podcasting group right now. And so I have a membership in there as well. And so it's really, really exciting for me to see people come together. That's my whole purpose is to create opportunities for people to connect and collaborate. And so I just love that. It brings me so much joy. And, I really found out that for anything to work, you need to be part of a community.
Yeah.
And doing everything alone, isolated, and that's the mode I was in before, the hustle mode, just hustling in a bad way. It was unhealthy. I burnt myself out. I was working 12, 14, 16 hours a day, and it just didn't work. It didn't work, and you don't have to do that anymore. And I found out that, that people will help you if you show up to be helped. And you really need to show up even when we don't feel like it. And Paul told a story about how sometimes you don't feel like going to these meetings, but if you just push yourself to go and meet people and connect with people, because I really think that's at the core of humanity, is us connecting with each other and helping each other and lifting each other up.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And especially when you're doing something in the creator space, like podcasting or YouTube, whatever, where you're doing something on your own, you just can't sit in a room and talk on your own. I mean, you can, but it's not very healthy after a while. You need people, you know?
Mm-hmm. You
So,
need to build your circle of support around you. It's not going to build itself.
yeah,
That's the thing that we need to know, right? If we're just kind of sitting waiting for the people to come along, you need to go find them. You need to find your community.
yeah, or build it,
Yeah.
because that's like here we didn't have a podcasting group, and so we started one because
Mm,
I don't know. That's what we do. I guess we start groups everywhere. I love
exactly.
that. Yep, Zanime, it's so true. It's so, so important. And,
Mhm.
it was interesting. I don't know, I'm sure that you were listening when Paul was talking the other day, but he was saying, he didn't think he was gonna make it, and then he felt an angel touch him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," and then he said, "It was you," and I was like, "Oh, that is so sweet. That is so sweet."
I remember that moment. I remember showing up, and at first I didn't recognize him. And I said to the doctor, I can't find him. Where is he? Because they pointed me to this room. Go, he's in the room there. And I couldn't find him. And I didn't recognize him because his whole chest was caved in. And it's funny how that's kind of a essential part of a person is, I just didn't recognize him. So then I went up and the only part of him I could touch that didn't have tubes or different things going on was a little part of his shoulder. And I just said, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And it really helped him. And it helped to, let him know that he had someone by his side and that I had arrived for him at the hospital there.
So
Yeah.
incredible. And I think, it's interesting that, that was the impetus for change because I think, they say that people say they want better things and whatever, but really it's pain that drives us to do things, you know? And I think a lot of times that's true where you think, "Oh, one day I'm going to," and then something says, "No, no, no. It's not gonna be one day, it's gonna be today." And I
Mhm.
know for us, we heard all these people talking about mindset and stuff, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, if one person says to me the word mindset." But for those of you watching, it really is a thing. I wish there was another word because that word I feel like is over whatever, but really, really changing the way you think and believing you can do things. Completely. It makes you capable of doing things. I don't know, like, there's no other way to put it. If you believe that you're not gonna get anywhere and you're not gonna do anything, you're not. And I think my
Exactly.
year this year is proof of how changing the way you think about things and about yourself can completely turn around what you do.
It's
So I
so
love
true. If you believe it will work, it will. If you believe it won't, it won't.
yeah,
It's whichever you believe in. So I had to really flip the scripts in my mind. The ones that say you have to do everything alone, that you don't need people, you have to be polished before you show up. That was a big one for me. And I just gave up all those things. And I had been helping clients with the monetizing stuff. I had that part nailed. And I was just like, why isn't it working? And it was all the mindset pieces that I was missing, you know?
yeah, yeah,
So
and it's
overcoming
just
limiting beliefs, for example.
right,
So
because if you wanna find negative or you wanna believe it, you're gonna find it everywhere. It's easy to find, but so is positive. And I
yes,
think, I think a lot of us are taught, and I don't know if it's so much anymore, but I feel like, you know, back in the day, "Oh, don't say something good, you gotta knock on wood, you're gonna jinx it," right? We weren't allowed to talk about good things happening. And I think it's so good that people that like the younger generations are being taught that you can talk about good things. You should talk about good things. I don't know, you know? It just
So
it makes
true.
me so sad
Yeah.
to think of how many great conversations were not had
It's so
because we
true.
might
It's
jinx
so true.
something, you know?
Yeah.
And that's not even a thing.
Yeah, it's
So,
so true, guess what? People want to connect with you. So if you're out there and you're thinking, "Well, I don't know who to connect with. I don't have anyone to connect with." There are people out there who want to connect with you. They're waiting just for you and the solutions that you provide. So just get out there, go to a meeting, go to a group, go to a lunch, an evening, get out there and just be you, shine as yourself, who you are. No matter what your niche, there are opportunities to connect. So, trade shows, conferences, networking groups, all kinds of things that you can do and get out there and, join a community and start building your own community.
yeah. And, okay, so I wrote this book and I asked people to contribute, and my daughter has a YouTube channel. And so I said, you can contribute too. And I have to share what she wrote because it's what you're talking about. And I think it's incredible because she's 15. And she said, be authentically yourself. A lot of people say that viewers like strong personalities or anyone, right? And that's true. A strong personality is key. But instead of making up a fake personality, figure out how to draw from your own and use your own energy. I was like, oh my gosh.
Mm,
And I think that's exactly when we're going to go out, we're going to meet new people. That's exactly it, right? You don't have to be who you think they want you to be.
it's
You
so
just be
true.
yourself.
Yeah.
And people want someone just like you. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. People are looking for someone just like you were saying, like just like you are.
Hmm.
And you just need to show up.
It's so true, and you don't need to be a copy of someone else. You don't need to be like someone else. Be like yourself. You're the only one who's you. You can bring unique things that nobody else has seen or has, And the other thing is to have courage. Have courage to share your ideas with the world because ideas alone aren't enough. If you have a great idea and you're just sitting on it and you're not sharing it, then you're depriving people of the wonderful gifts that you bring to the world. And I don't know if you know this, but when I turned 50, I went skydiving. Have I ever told you about that? I went
No, I did not.
skydiving. Yeah, I went skydiving and I had never been before. And so I went to this skydiving thing and we went up in the plane and and I was doing great. Like I was excited about it. But then we got up to 10,000 feet and the door opened and people started falling out. And I was tethered to a person because that's how it works when it's your first time. And if you've ever been on a plane, that's kind of an unnatural thing to happen. The door just open and people start falling out, right? And so I started to get a little apprehensive, but I wasn't really afraid yet. And then we started nudging towards the door. And have you ever been skydiving?
I never have, no.
Okay, well, they make you stand on this little stair on the outside of the plane. Outside of a moving plane, you're going to
Oh my
stand on a
goodness.
little stair. And then you can see everything. So I could see everything. I could see the curve of the earth. And right at that moment, I became a little frightened. I was frightened because I was standing way up, on this stair on an airplane 10,000 feet in the air. And and just right then I felt a little bit of fear, but I was quite fearful in that moment. But then we took the leap and we started falling. And I don't know if you know this, but you only feel the falling feeling for about 3 to 5 seconds, and then it just feels like floating and flying. You don't,
Really?
yeah, you don't feel like you're falling. You take a certain position that they tell you, and then you don't feel like you're falling after that. You just feel like you're floating and
That's so
just flying.
interesting because it
Yeah.
feels like it seems like it would be terrifying, to be quite honest.
Yeah, well, to my surprise, it wasn't terrifying after that. It became a beautiful
Oh,
experience. I could see everything in my town. I could see all the landmarks. It was beautiful. It was absolutely a beautiful experience and just floating through the air like that. And then I landed safely. And it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. But, I use that example in my own life is that the only time I really felt fear was right before the leap. And that's a lot of time in our life, right? Where things come up and if we just can step over that fear, there's so much good stuff on the other side that we
oh
can
my
enjoy.
god. That is so true. That
Mhm.
is yeah, that little voice that's like, "Who do you think you are? Why are you trying this?" Whatever. You just have to tell him to go away and do the thing.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know, skydiving. I don't know, Dave, would you wanna go skydiving? Can you nod one way or the other? I I've been parasailing. I almost died parasailing the first time, and then my daughter wanted to go parasailing, gosh, just like 6 months ago, and I didn't want her to go by herself, but I was terrified, but then I thought, "Well, if I'm gonna have her go, I have to go, right?" Because, you know, and I went and it was the best thing. It was so incredible, but terrifying, just, but yeah, once you're up there, it's like, "Oh, I never wanna come down. I wanna do this forever." So,
Yeah, that's very similar.
but no, but jumping out of a plane, I don't know, I have a lot of respect for you for doing that. That is a
Well,
lot. Did
both
you
are very similar in that you're up there, you're quite high in the air, even parasailing, that's really, really high in the air still.
So, yeah, the first time I did it, I was on a cruise to Mexico, so we were in Mexico, I did not speak Spanish, and we went out on the boat, and my parachute had come to a solid yes, you can, Dave, to a solid glass hotel, and I was approaching up on one of the floors on this hotel, I was about to slam into the glass. I was 14 years old, and everyone's yelling at me in Spanish, and the only thing people are saying in English is, "Pull the rope." There's like 50 ropes. They had not said one of them was special. And so I'm just watching this building, and then at the last minute, the boat turns, and I'm literally like 10 feet from this building, and we turn around, and I was terrified.
Oh,
But then I did it again, and it was beautiful. And we did not do it near buildings, which was much better. But, yeah.
oh,
Oh,
that
see all right, Zanime, you are brilliant. When you reach terminal velo okay, I can't even read those words. That is so interesting.
huh,
See, there we go. We learned something new
yeah,
today.
yeah, that's
But,
really neat.
yeah. Yeah, no. Oh, wow. So what other exciting things have you got going on besides jumping out of planes and starting 20,000 person groups? Good night. That's a lot of people. How are you all doing? How is Paul doing? Is he doing okay now, or
Yeah,
is he still
life is just different when you have disabilities. He has a lot of invisible disabilities, and so he talks about the stigmas and things in his TED Talk that he mentioned, Silencing Stigma Through Storytelling. And so he really talks about mastering your message, and I talk about monetizing your message. And so I really specialize in all the different ways of monetizing your expertise and your message. And I just love helping people to do that because, if you don't know what your passion is, think about what really fires you up. What really, really fires you up. And what if you just pursued that? I have a program called the 4 Month Method, and it's a mentorship program where I work with people really intensely for 4 months. And it really takes 4 months for something to happen to really, really take root and make a difference and impact in your life. Because if you only spend, say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month on something and then it doesn't work, it just isn't enough time to get momentum on something. You really need that 4 months to do something consistently for it to really break through. That's what I have found.
yeah.
And so I really help people that way in my one-to-one coaching as well as in group sessions. So I have a mastermind as well where I meet with people once a month. And in my mastermind, they get access to all of my memberships. And so, all the tools and things that I provide. And then I also have memberships and the free groups that we talked about as well. And so all of that's going on. And I just love helping people. I love creating opportunities to connect and to meet new people. It's so exciting.
And you have so many things happening. It's a lot. It's so much. Oh my goodness. And I don't know how you keep it all up. But your mastermind, it means once a month. See, mine's we meeting every week, and that's a lot. It's a lot. And I think we need to slow it down a little bit because it's just, yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, once a week is a lot, I find, because also for people to employ what you've taught them too, they need a bit more time, to schedule in more than the week to get that going. But connecting and collaborating with others is really vital to our own mental health and to our businesses. And so our mental wellness, our physical wellness, even the wellness of every aspect of our business is affected if we're not making time to connect with other people. Because if we don't have that connection time and that time to collaborate, we've collaborated on a few different things, and it's just such a joy. It brings a joy into all that hard work that you're doing, and it's really, for me, it's the enjoyable part of doing business. It's, because if I just was at a computer just all day with no connection at all, I would find that draining,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, you absolutely need people. I always say, you can't podcast in the void, like, it's the void. You're just sitting there like you're talking to yourself, and even if your podcast is successful or whatever you're doing is successful, if you're just sitting there, yeah, you need that human connection. And it's funny because even my shower thoughts, so I was doing shower thoughts before I came on here, so I'm still in my shower thoughts clothes. I'll do all my things, and then I always throw a thing or 2 in there, like, "Put down your phone now." And go, even though that's not really what YouTube wants, but put down your phone and go talk to a human because we were made for human connection. And I think the last, 2020, the words we don't say on the internet anymore, really changed the way people see other people, I think, and made people afraid to connect in a lot of ways. And it's so important. You need people. And texting does not do it. It's not the way to go.
It's so true. You don't have to go it alone. A rising tide lifts all boats, and we're all in this together, and we can all help each other. And that's why you and I have so much synergy, I think, because you're such an excellent community builder. When we met at Podfest, you could see you were the one just gathering everybody together and, making everything sort of happen in the room and around the conference. You were everywhere and really helping everybody at the conference to connect, and so that's why I think you and I do so well and get along so well. And my sister too, we just have such a good time because we know it's right to connect, even though I don't always have the energy or feel like connecting. I have a networking group I'm going to tomorrow night, and I'm like, do I have time? Do I want to? Yes, I'm going to make the time for it because I know I'm going to feel so good that I go, you know?
See, and that's really good, yeah, for people to know is that we don't always feel like showing up, but when we do show up, we're thankful we did. That's the
Mhm.
thing. And, because people, especially introverts, you don't wanna go, you don't wanna go, you don't wanna go, and then you get there, you're like, "Oh, I'm so glad I went." And, you may
Exactly.
need a couple hours to kinda settle down when you get home, and that's okay, that's normal, but go. You gotta go, you know? And
Mhm.
I love connecting people. I do, I love connecting them to each other. Um, and, it's funny because when I met you, I was doing that, I was just connecting people everywhere, and what I didn't realize at the time is I got so much out of that, and I wasn't doing it to get something out of it, but the people I connected to each other remembered me later, and then later they said, "What can they do?" And I hadn't done it to get anything, but it was really nice because, now it's been a few years later and I'm like, "Hey, by the way," or do you know somebody? And they're happy to, introduce, and like I introduced you to Ross Brand, and he messaged me, he was so excited, but I thought you 2 would be such a good connection. I don't know, I love putting pieces together.
I had such a great meeting with him. Oh, man, I could have talked with him all day long. We had such a great meeting. Thank you so much for that connection.
You're welcome. Yeah, he is
Mhm.
a powerhouse. He
Yeah, he
is a
really knows his
powerhouse.
stuff.
Oh my gosh, he does. He does. And he helped me figure out that I can do the live thing because, when you look out there, when you hit a certain age, over 50, okay, we're over 50. Let's just, and I kept thinking, well, nobody's going to want to see me out there. What am I doing? Why am I going to do this? And then I look at Ross and I love Ross, but I'm like, if Ross can get out there, I can get out there. You know?
Mhm.
Ross is just raw, and he's incredible, and I thought, I think I can do this, and it's been a lot of fun. And, yeah, Zanime, it is so true. It is it's hard to talk to yourself. I don't know, sometimes I entertain myself a lot, but you gotta also get there. Oh my gosh.
It's true,
Yeah.
and joint ventures can really accelerate your progress.
They can. Well, just like, we have this podcast meeting, this local podcast meeting. People come and we always have a speaker. We talk about podcasting. But guess what? They also are doing other things in their life. And you'd be surprised how many times, oh my gosh, you do this and I do this and I need this person and I need that person. And the next thing you know, they're all connecting outside of the group. And that is the beauty, I think, of joining groups like that and just being part of it. And then you meet friends.
Mhm.
You make friends that you never realized you would make. I mean, look, I've got a friend all the way across the continent in another country just because I showed up at a podcasting event.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
we've made lifelong friends and connections through Podfest. That was an amazing experience, and you helped facilitate that wonderful experience, and that's what we all need to do for each other. And when we have those joint ventures and those collaborations, it helps us to open up to new audiences. So we're not just always trying to grow our own audience, but when we do a collaboration like this, we're connecting with each other's audiences, which is great, and it gives you more momentum. And it's not just about filling up your business, but it's about being fulfilled while you do business. And that's the big difference. And that's why we need to incorporate connection and collaboration, joint ventures into our business and really make it a vital part of our business. And that's where you're going to see the big difference. And when you can really scale is when you're connecting with other people and all those resources that can flow into your life that you never even thought about before, like you said, where things will come up where people can have solutions for things that you didn't even think of, tapping into certain groups for that solution. So it's really, really, when you align with other people, I find it makes a huge difference in every part of my life.
absolutely. And then you motivate each other too, you
Mhm.
know? So one of my friends was writing a book and I thought, you know what, I'm going to write a book. So last weekend I wrote a book. And then another friend of mine had been wanting to, so we were trying to do it together and she didn't quite get to do it because she had company, but that's okay. Cause then next weekend, when I'm doing my ebook, she'll do her other book and we'll do it together and promote together and do all that stuff. And it just makes it so much more fun to be
Mhm.
doing it all together. And then I thought, oh my goodness, because when Ross does his book, he has 100 people, what is it called? Because I got to contribute to it this year. I was so excited last year. He asked, and I didn't know what to say. But he has everyone do it, and then we all promote together, which is brilliant. And so I thought, well, I'm writing this book about YouTube. I'm going to have everybody I know on YouTube. They can contribute if they want to, and it's been exciting to see what people say. And
Oh.
then yeah, they can all work together, and they can all get a copy of the book and whatever, and hopefully share it with their friends. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I finally found my passion thing. I'm very excited. I mean, well, that's not true. I've had a lot of passion things through my life. And, you know, my children and homeschooling are number one. But right now, Dave gets the gift of doing that, which has been really cool.
That's amazing. You've done such a great job of growing your community and really doing that, and when things click, isn't
Oh
that
my
just
God,
amazing when you've finally have that manifestation come alive? And it's almost like you can't believe it. Like you've dreamed this, you thought of it, it was your idea, and you gave birth to it, and now suddenly it's clicked and it's just moving forward and you see the full manifestation in the world. I just find it magical. I just
it
find
is.
it just amazing that that can happen.
It
And I've
is
had that.
incredible.
Yeah. It's really cool what you've done with your YouTube group and all the different things that you have going on. It's really incredible.
It's really fun. Yeah, and I was doing way too many things. So we're kind of finally, solidifying and just basically it's coming all down to YouTube at this point, which, but then I'm doing some consultancy outside, but everything is revolving around one thing because everybody kept saying, pick your thing and do your funnel. And I didn't want to do an artificial thing where I felt like I don't want to sell something to people. I don't like that. I mean, unless I'm selling you like oxygen or, like you need it to survive. But if I have information and yeah, then I can share it with you. That makes me feel really good if it's something you really want. And I don't think that I know that I don't do it better. There's people with millions more subscribers that I have. It's not that I do it better. It's that I'm articulating it for people to understand. And people who have millions of subscribers don't have time to articulate it for people to understand. And so that's been really good. It feels really good when people say, "Oh my gosh, I didn't understand that before, and you made it make sense." And I love that. I love it so much.
That's
And Dave,
incredible.
go ahead.
Sorry. Are
You
you
can,
putting that is that what your book's gonna be about?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's so
It's
cool. I've
all
been
about
in
YouTube.
Is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Do you have a title yet?
It is Uncensored YouTube Hacks because that book, when I looked it up on Amazon, 4 things came up and it stopped searching. And I thought, okay, nothing was named that. So that's what it is. And it doesn't really, whatever. And then, yeah. And then there's a subtitle that I have no idea what it is, because Google Trends told me that those were the words. And so that's what I did. But yeah, it's Uncensored YouTube Hacks. And it's, I've got some really cool ideas in there from some pros in the back, but it's just what's important. What is the algorithm? People, oh my goodness, everyone's so weirded out by the algorithm. I can explain it to you what it is. And then I have a video series explaining how to use the different apps because for some reason, and we get access to YouTube because we've got these community managers and we're part of these groups. And so, people are saying, why are there 3 different places that have, like you can thank you can put you can only change the thumbnail for your shorts in the YouTube app, but not the YouTube Studio app and not on your computer. And you can only find out if a sponsor wants to work with you on the computer, but not in either of the phone apps. And why are there 2 phone apps? So it's a lot, and it just feels good. I'm like, oh, this is the one thing I understand it, and I get to share it, and it's fun. And it's the first book because it's well, okay, I'm writing 2 of them together because I'm doing another 5-year journal with it because it just makes sense. Um, but it's the first time where people are like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. You've got to tell me when it comes out, and I want to buy it, and that feels so good too.
Oh, that's
You've
amazing.
got something like people are like, oh my gosh, Jennifer, when you come out with a new thing, I've got to have it because I know that you know what you're talking about. And it just feels really good. So, in fact, they're
Yeah.
changing my speech at Podfest this year to that because,
Hmm.
yeah. And I don't get to give my speech. That's my baby, but that's okay because they want the other one
Oh.
because it's how to get the most out of Podfest. But
Hmm.
I'll tell you how. Go in the hallway. That's basically
Yeah,
the crux of the speech.
it's
Right?
true, it's true, yeah, the best connections are made in the hallway. Well, with a book, they have an author part of Podfest too, right?
Yeah,
And so that's a really good
I know
opportunity.
that.
And with collaborative books that you were talking about, I've been in collaborative books as well. And there's another great opportunity for connecting with other people and for sharing your audience. So you're sharing your audience and they're sharing the book with their audience. And so it's opening you up to that whole new audience. And publishing your own book too is a great idea. I use KDP. I published Paul's book that way. And I published my own books through KDP, Amazon's KDP. That's a self-publishing platform. And again, a book just really helps you to get your foot in the door, and it's just another way to express yourself in a longer form. So you'll be able to put a lot more of your tips all in one place, in your book. And so we
Yeah.
give away a copy of Paul's book, a digital copy, and then it also sells on Amazon. And the cool thing with a book these days too is if you go with a traditional publisher, you're on their sort of timeline of promotion and it gets published, and then you just have that burst of promotion in the beginning, and then if all the sales are done, all the sales are done. But with Amazon KDP, you can keep publishing. It's publishing on demand. I get royalties every month for years for the different books. And workbooks are really good too. You could do a workbook that goes with your book,
So
and
there
those
is a
sell
little
really well.
workbook in the back of the book, actually,
Oh, okay.
for people to get started on things, and then the journal is the rest of that, where it's, yeah, I've got the whole thing. It's very exciting. It's a lot, though, my poor family, but I had to have it done because Dave's having surgery tomorrow, so and I
Oh,
have to order my author copy because it is going to be published on Black Friday. That's the day it's coming out.
oh,
So
okay.
that everybody can, yeah,
Yeah.
it's very fun. But and then I did a different thing. There's a book, and now can I remember the name of the book? No, but it's the book where it says give everybody the best thing in the beginning, and then they will see the rest. And I cannot
Mm,
remember what the name of it is, but the first chapter is a TDLR and it's all the main points right there. So for
mhm.
people that think, I really want this book, but I don't like to read 37,000 words, they can get it and skim the first chapter and put it down. And basically, and then you want to deep dive on something, you can deep dive on it. But I think, people are just, I don't know. I think, shorts and TikTok and everything has taken away a lot of, what's the word? Focus
Mm,
and
mhm.
and wanting to spend time so that way, yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Trying something different.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's good to have different lengths of your story. And so we have, 30 seconds, 60-second, 5 minute, 10 minute, 20 minute. We can talk to for 45 minutes. So it's good to have different lengths of your story. And a book is a nice place to just put all the stuff so everything you can think of that you've ever talked to clients and your customers and your members about, you can put it all in the book and it's all there for them. It's a great resource for people to tap into and to really get your foot in the door and to show people your expertise. It's a good way to build credibility. And so I love book publishing. I have multiple streams. I love having multiple streams. I know some people just like to focus on one thing, but I like having multiple things going on. I just enjoy it.
Well, and I think you have to, though, because that way, if one thing doesn't work, if I'm doing YouTube and I'm making videos or whatever, and God forbid something happens and my channel gets shut down, and that's all I do, I'm done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to diversify a little bit just to make sure that everything's okay. And,
Mm-hmm.
and just logically finding, and it took me 10 years to figure out logically how to do the thing. And then it hit, and now it's so exciting. And if you're thinking about if you're watching this and you're thinking about writing a book, let me tell you what, write the book. I wrote my first book in 8 days. It took me 3 months to edit, but because it was messy. But you can write the book and you can publish it. And like Jennifer was saying, it doesn't have to be perfect. It does not. I guarantee you, I find an editing mistake in every single book I read, just about every book. So it's okay if there's one or two in there. Plus, if somebody writes to you and lets you know, that's just engagement, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's okay. And you can always fix it later. But I got to tell you, so I had an idea that I could get any book to be a bestseller. And because I think I've cracked the code. And so one of my son's 13-year-old friends published a book, and guess what? It's a bestseller
Mm.
because I helped her. And so I'm very excited to try my theory with myself. I don't know, and see if it works.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's 13 and she's now an Amazon best-selling author. How cool is that?
That's
And,
so cool. That's so cool. Are you going to have an event for your book launch on Black
you know,
Friday?
I had not thought of that actually because I just decided to write this book last Thursday. So it is all, but I'm going to go live on Amazon because I'm an Amazon influencer. I'm doing that on Black Friday, but I can't talk about my own book that day.
Oh.
So maybe I
Hmm.
will. Maybe we'll do something. I don't know because people be shopping. They'll be in the car. Oh, we could do some kind of live thing. Maybe I will. That sounds like
Mhm.
fun. Maybe I will go out and about and share the book out like with people, like a man on the street thing. Maybe we'll go talk to
Mm.
people or something. That would be
Mm.
fun.
If you
Go
can get
live
a
at
lot
the
of
mall
people buying
Black
it on
Friday.
the one day, then it will show up at the
Yeah,
top of the list, right?
yeah. Yeah, and I'm giving away the ebook on that day.
Mm.
I'm gonna
Okay.
just give it to every group that wants it, just lots of people, you can all
Mhm.
have it. Um, because why not?
Mhm.
That's the main point, right? And then after that, but, yeah, that first day, it's gonna be fun.
Mhm.
So, how many books have you published?
Well, quite a few workbooks over the years. I started with my first book was my background. I have some expertise in international trade, and so my first book was about import export. It's called Import Export Coach, and so I put everything in there that I would help clients with, and that I would coach on about import and export. And so that was way back.
You have a lot
Yeah.
of skills. I didn't
Mm,
know that was one of them. That's awesome.
yeah, that was my talent in the '90s, I guess you could say.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. And
Wow.
then so, but for anybody who has an idea or a story or an expertise to share, we use the format called Story Teach Tool. And so think of your origin story, what got you started, why are you so passionate about your topic, and then write that story out and try to get it down to one or two chapters. And that can be your opening chapter is your story about, what fuels this passion, what's so exciting about this topic. And then the teach part is all then break out your expertise and all your tips that you have to help people that are unique to you, your proprietary systems or approaches, share those in the different chapters and create the outline. I'm sure that's what helped you write your book so quickly, right? You always start with the outline
Yeah.
and then you dive into each point on that outline, right? And then provide tools that help people to achieve that. So tools could be, it doesn't have to be a system or a technology type tool. It could be an exercise, a mindset exercise, or a planning exercise, you know, some kind of thought exercise. And so you could put those in the book as well. And all of those things make a really enriched process, an enriched experience for people to engage with your book just further than just reading the pages. You know, they're actually doing things and incorporating things right away into their life that can help them. And that's what really makes the impact and helps you to connect with new people and grow your audience.
Yeah. And it's fun. If you have a book that you can engage with too, and
Yeah.
really dive into, and so, yeah, it's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of fun. So,
Yeah. And, Jen and I, we've made all the mistakes. To get where we are, we had to make a lot of mistakes. So mistakes are not the focus, right? You either earn or you learn. It's going to be one of those, right? So learning is just as important because you're going to learn how to level up, how to scale up, how to get to that next level in your journey. Every mistake's going to teach you something,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Even the embarrassing ones, and you think, but you know what? No one will remember them later because they're
Yeah.
thinking about themselves, honestly. And so, you just have to dust yourself off. Oh my gosh, I made the biggest I was just telling somebody about this today. I had an idea for a game show. We could do a game show. And so I asked Dave Jackson, who's a huge podcaster, and Jeff Dwoskin, who's a professional comedian. He was our host, and oh my goodness. And it didn't go well when we first filmed it because it was Gen X versus Gen Z, and all my Gen Z people canceled. So it was my children. And my son was like, "When is this ending?" It was a whole thing. It was hysterical. And I was like, "We're going to do it anyway."
That's
It did
funny.
not work. We went live. It didn't work live. It was wrong. Jeff ducked out like 2 minutes in. He's like, "This is so embarrassing. I can't watch." And then at 15 after, I called it, like the whole thing. And you know what? They don't hate me. I was really afraid, they were not gonna want it. But, because we all make mistakes. And it was fun trying. It was, yeah, I'm not gonna have a game show, but it was fun trying.
Oh, well, that was good to try it. I mean,
Right, it
now
was
you
good to
know.
try it, and, and if a bunch of people tell you you're doing something and it's really ugly, maybe consider. Like, you don't wanna take just one person's advice, but yeah, you should listen if they if they say
Well, Dave Jackson's a good sport. I'm sure he was fun about it.
he's a great sport. Yeah, I just love him so much.
I was in his membership for 10 years before I ever started a podcast. And he was always encouraging. He was consistently encouraging, I can tell you, over many, many years. He's a super guy.
He is one of the best, like, humans I've ever met, who's just willing to give you anything,
Mhm.
and yeah, I was part of his membership, but then I could never go, and I said, "I'm paying I love what you're doing, but I'm paying you money and I'm never showing up," so I had to stop. But
Mm.
you usually do a raffle at the end. Ooh, a raffle at the end of what? This is exciting. I do love giving away prizes. Oh, speaking of prizes, we're having our members only 3rd Thursday next week when I go live. We only have a few members left. It's a long story, and that's okay because we're gonna have giveaways. So if you're a member, you definitely wanna come on Thursday, because, yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a small but mighty group, and, there will be prizes. And I found a way to do prizes because, okay, just so you know, on YouTube, if I have a members only thing, because members are paid, technically I can't give prizes, like I can't have a raffle because that's
Mhm.
illegal because people have paid and then everyone has to win. But I will mail everyone a sticker and then everyone will get a prize. So there will be bigger prizes or there will be stickers, but there will be something for everyone. You cannot win. Well, you could win, but no, you're not gonna win, Mr. Hardy. Also, I think I still have prizes to give away from my million person thing. So if you want a
Oh.
prize and you haven't got one, please let me know. I may have messed that up. And
So
Jennifer's good at that. She does not do that.
tell me when you hit 1,000,000, when was that? Was that a couple
Oh,
weeks ago?
that was a few months ago, actually.
Oh.
I don't
Mm.
even know what you'd think I would know what date it was, but this was another thing where I tried it, and I really thought it was soon after the game show, and I thought it was not gonna work, but it did work. Somebody said it was like Twister and that Hollywood Squares all at once because it was here on Wave. I can have up to a dozen people here, and then I booked them out. I think it was like 2 hours, and I booked or whatever. I booked everyone out like every 15 minutes, and I had my manager from YouTube came, and he was in traffic, and so he pulled over to the side of the road. He said, "I can only be there for a minute," and he sat on the side of the road for 30 minutes until my show was over, and he stayed with us. It was
Wow.
so cool, and he looks like he's 12, and he's adorable, and his name is Alex, and I love him so much. But yeah, I had just all of everyone I could think of. I just sent an invitation, and then I just booked them in a certain time, and they would come, and we would all talk. But I was thinking we were just gonna talk, and then it ended up being this great thing, like, everyone said all these nice things about me, which isn't what I was thinking when I set it up, but yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, and we are about to hit 2,000,000. So, I think it was 6 months in, so April, May, June, July, August, September. It was around September, and then in the next few weeks, we're gonna hit 2,000,000.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah,
amazing. So amazing.
it's
It's just incredible.
incredible, yeah.
Yeah,
And yeah, go ahead.
would you have guessed, you know,
Oh my
even a
god,
couple of years ago, you and I, when we met at Podfest, that was, June 2022.
22, yeah.
But would you have even guessed then that you'd be
Oh my gosh,
experiencing
no.
this now?
No, and it was so funny because at that time, I mean, I had imposter syndrome so bad,
Mhm.
and, I all I had was, like, T-shirts and, like, things that didn't fit because I was just in that weird space about myself, and I remember a friend of mine took me out, I got 2 pairs of jeans, and I was like, "Ooh, I got that's all I had in my Podfest volunteer shirt, and, but I wanted to work in the VIP room because 'cause I'm like, "This is where I wanna be, these are the people I'm gonna be working with, and this is what I'm gonna be doing." It's that mindset thing, right?
Mhm.
And so that's where I put myself. And sure enough, and then I just connected everybody together because I thought, you know, right now they don't care about what I'm doing because my little show, whatever. And then the next Podfest, I rebranded, and that really helped.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And then I'm gonna start a new thing. I don't know, we're gonna see how it goes. Doing some reacting here because right now it's a lot of things about judges, but the whole YouTube court thing is a whole thing. One of the judges has actually been taken to court about it, and it's whatever. And so, what I'm doing is not going to involve any of the defendants. It's only going to be the judge and some of the brilliant things that the judges say because they say a lot of really cool stuff. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to share their wisdom with the
Mhm.
world? So we're going to have
Mhm.
tea and justice, and we're going to sit down to a nice cup of tea and talk about what's going on there in the world with the judges. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to see, and if it turns out like the game show, we will turn to something else. I don't know, but yeah,
Imposter syndrome can be so strong, and it can keep us from doing things that we can help ourselves and help others in the world. And so it's really important to really try to overcome, take that leap, even though it seems frightening, and just jump into what really fires you up and live your purpose so that you can feel that manifestation that you're feeling right now. Because how will it happen if you don't take that leap and take that chance on yourself? Bet on yourself.
right? Yes, absolutely. And that little I'm in a writers group, and they call it the shoulder wench. Well, they call it something else, but that's what we're gonna say. And some of them even have a stuffed animal, which I wanna get it those little stuffed animals that are, like, happy on one side and sad on the other side,
Mhm,
you know?
mhm,
And it's that little voice, it's like, "Who do you think you are?" And, "You can never do that," and whatever. The voices of all the people that told you the things, and you can just flick her off your shoulder and do the thing because
mhm.
she's a liar, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. If we can do it, other people can do it.
Oh
I
my
mean,
god.
I trip over my words, doesn't stop me. I'll have yeah, I've had a stain on my shirt. Paul once was speaking, and the guy that was hosting came in to hug him and was wearing a sort of disco ball hat, and scratched his ear, and his ear was bleeding while he was speaking on stage, and didn't really we've had all kinds of stuff happen to us, and it just doesn't stop us. The key thing is to keep going, and just know there's people out there that want to hear your message, they want to hear what you have to say, and they will support you.
And stop putting the rewind and play button on the negative things that you've done in your life and start putting that on the positive. That's
Mm-hmm.
made a huge difference. Is that self-talk? Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Like night and day. Your life changes night and day.
Totally. Yeah, that's what made the biggest difference in my life. I had all the marketing strategies. I had everything in place. I knew how to identify ideal audiences, the whole thing. I was missing the mindset piece of overcoming those limiting beliefs that I couldn't do it. And once you can tell yourself that you can do it and actually do it, take the leap, take inspired action, and it will change your life.
Yeah. There's a book called The Optimistic Child, and I had gotten it because one of my children 20 years ago was really struggling. And the whole first chapter, and at first I did not understand what this was about, but talks about the parent's mindset. And if you're talking to yourself, I'm an idiot, I'm stupid, I'm this, I'm that, that
Mhm.
even if you don't say it out loud, your children are learning that.
Yeah.
And so you need to stop before they can get better. And it was really eye-opening for me because I kept thinking, well, okay, I think I'm an idiot, but I love my kids, right? No,
Mhm.
your kids think you're wonderful and they think you're perfect. And so if you're conveying to them that you're an idiot, then the person who they think is the best person in the world is an idiot. What does that make them? You know?
Yeah.
And so it was very, very eye-opening. But so I love your
Mhm.
message. I love it so much. Our time is almost up. If anybody has a question or anything, feel free to ask it. It's weird. I don't get messages in here from other places, so I've been kind of trying to check them out. But it has been so good to have you here and to talk about all these amazing things. And I'm just so excited with what you're sharing with the world. I really am. I think it's so beautiful. And you have such a calming, gentle, but powerful voice. And I just thank you for everything that you've done for me and for all the women in podcasting and all the people. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It's incredible. And Zanime, thank you so much for joining us and staying the whole time. You are amazing. I don't know where Alexa is or our other people, but I'm sure that they're going to watch it later. So we love all of you guys and we thank you. We have 4 minutes left. So I'm not going to end early because I'm sure that we've got something incredible going on. So what do you have coming up in the future? What are you doing for 2025? I can't even believe it's going to be that year.
Well, the Women Podcasters Awards is going to happen February 1st of this coming year. So it's
Oh,
going to happen earlier than last year. And it's going to go from February till the end of May. And so what one of the feedback I had about it was we had a 2-month period for voting. Now it's just going to be 1 month. And
okay.
so people can nominate their podcast from February through the end of April, and then voting will be through May. And
Okay.
so that's going to be the timeline for next year. And we're looking for sponsors. We had such an amazing outpouring of sponsors in the last one from the podcasting industry, which was so encouraging to me and really wonderful. And so anybody who wants to be a sponsor, feel free to reach out.
That is incredible. Oh, and where can they find that? I can put that in the chat as well.
Womenpodcasters.com.
Okay. We'll put that one back in there because it is phenomenal. And being part of it was phenomenal. Winning was also phenomenal. But yeah, I didn't even expect, oh my gosh, that was crazy. It was so much fun, you all. It was so much fun.
You
And
won 2 awards.
I did
You're the
win.
only person that won 2 awards.
I was shocked, to be honest. I was shocked. Dave had a few things on hand just in case I won one, but the second one, I was just, yeah, I've never been speechless. I was speechless. I had to stop talking. I was going to start sobbing because
That was exciting.
was so incredible. Yeah, womenpodcasters.com. So even and for creators, because you're inspired. Wait, where is it? Inspired.
Inspiring Innovators
Okay,
Club.
because was it inspired influencers before? Because I
Yeah, a
keep
few
wanting to.
years ago, it was our company was called Inspired Influencers, but the
Okay,
word influencer has kind of changed
yeah.
over the years, and so we switched it to Innovators a couple years ago.
Okay. Well, I got to change that on the thumbnail because yeah, all right, because I was in that mode.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
okay. It kinda means the same thing to us,
yeah,
it's just that in some circles, it's kinda changed its meaning,
different things. Yeah,
influencer, but thought leader, innovator, kind of
things like
means
that.
that.
Awesome. Thank you, Zanime. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a really good year. It's been a really good year. It started off horrifically.
Oh,
January was horrific. We lost a lot in January, and
oh,
then it just blew up in a
hmm,
good way, and that was good. So,
mm,
yeah, out of the ashes. We are like the Phoenix family this year, and,
mm.
yeah, it's been really
Well,
incredible.
I'll be the first one to buy your book.
Well, you're awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll share it in the group, and then everybody can get it for free in your group,
Mm,
which would be
mm,
amazing for them, but also for me. But,
mm,
but I think I just wanna help people figure it out because it's not that hard and it's fun, and if your thing works and I've got so many people that are doing things like shower thoughts now,
mm,
that they're trying their hand at it, and that's the thing, why not? So,
mhm.
all right, it's 10, and I gotta get ready for Dave's surgery tomorrow. So
Oh,
I am going to go, and he's gonna rock it. It's gonna be wonderful. He's gonna be like
mm.
the $1,000,000 man.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah. Woo. All right. Well, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. Give Paul a hug for us and, tell him again, thank you.